I'd like to call the regular session of the Harris County Board of Commissioners to order for Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. And at this time, I'd like to just remind all y'all, I know there's a lot going on in the world and the country today, but please keep everybody in Hawaii in your thoughts and prayers. I've been watching the news and stuff and discussing that with my students, and you know, it's not going real well over there, so y'all keep those people in your thoughts and prayers if you don't mind. And at this time, Commissioner Andrews, you give our invocation.
Thank you. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, as we sit here, Lord, in comfort and in this beautiful county, we pray for the people that are in Maui, Lord, that need your help, your comfort. Lord, we pray that you would take care, Lord, of them, and that you would send to them the help that they need. We pray that you would help us tonight, Lord, to make good decisions, to lean not on our own understanding, but to lean on your wisdom. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
And if you would join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, the first item on the agenda tonight is the minutes for the regular session of August 1st, 2023, special call session of August 8th, 2023, which was public hearing number 1, and the special call session of August 8th, 2023, which was public hearing number 2. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion, second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Minutes are approved. All right, the next item is the public hearing, the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, public hearing number 3. This is the third of 3 public hearings the county is required to hold regarding the notice of intent to increase property taxes. There will be 2 more public hearings regarding the same before the millage rate is set. Harris County Board of Commissioners is tentatively. No, we're on.
There will not be 2 more. That's
Yeah, I was going to say, we already did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last of the 3. Harris County Board of Commissioners has tentatively adopted a 2023 millage rate. Wayne was about to freak out. We were starting over. The Harris County Board of Commissioners has tentatively adopted a 2023 millage rate, which will require an increase in property taxes by 2.72% in the county-wide West Point area and by 6.60% in the West Point area. The tentative increase will result in a millage of 9.13 mills, an increase of 0.242 mills in the county-wide West Point area. Without this tentative tax increase, the millage rate will be no more than 8.888 mills. The proposed tax increase for a home with a fair market value of $250,000 is approximately $24.20. And the proposed tax increase for non-homestead property with a fair market value of $175,000 is approximately $16.94. In the West Point area, this tentative increase will result in a millage rate of 5.478 mills, an increase of 0.339 mills. Without this tentative tax increase, the millage rate will be no more than 5.139 mills. The proposed tax increase for a home with a fair market value of $175,000 is approximately $23.73, and the proposed tax increase for non-homestead property with a fair market value of $125,000 is approximately $16.95. At the close of this public hearing, we will announce the millage rate, and it will be set later in this evening. At this time, I will call the public hearing to order and ask Mr. Morris if he'd like to come up and say a few words now that we gave him a heart attack that we thought we were starting over.
Well, I appreciate you clarifying that. I do like to take a moment to explain why we're here and why we're holding these public hearings. The reason that we're required to have the 3 public hearings is because we did not take the millage rate back to the rollback rate. Just to make sure everyone understands, we're not increasing the millage rate, even though we have to advertise that we're increasing taxes. And the reason that is because we did some revaluation this past year. So anytime you do any revaluation, you have to roll the millage rate back so that you don't collect any more dollars than you would have had you not done the revaluation. But seeing how we're leaving the millage rate the same, we are going to collect a few more dollars than we would normally have. And so by doing that, the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights requires that we hold 3 public hearings to let everyone know that this is what we're doing. But the main thing I wanted to let everyone know is we didn't change the millage rate. The Board of Education hasn't changed their millage rate either. So if your value didn't change this year, you're not having a change in your taxes. If your value went up or down, then you would have a change in your taxes. I also would like to mention that this year, for 1 year anyway, the governor has passed the HTRG, which is a homestead tax relief grant, which will give folks up to right at $480 of tax credit this year if you have homestead on your property. Now, this is a one-time shot unless they do it again. So they could do it again next year. But this year, you're going to get that. So the one thing I want people to understand is, not this year, but next year, if they don't give that credit, your taxes will go back up to what they were. So that'll, while it might look like we're raising taxes, we may not be. It's just that you're not getting that credit. But I did also want to say that the reason that we do revaluation and so forth is because we get audited every year on our sales. The Department of Audits, which is a part of the Department of Revenue, get a copy of every one of our sales in Harris County, along with the other 158 counties, every year, and they audit those sales, and we're supposed to be at 40%. And just this past week, we received our sales ratio from this past year, and we are at 38.98, so that's pretty strong. And you say, well, that's great, but just to let you know, of these 159 counties, half of them failed their study this year. And so they're going to either have to appeal or they're not going to be able to tax at the same rate on their utilities and things such as that, which could be big dollars because generally utilities are some of the highest taxpayers in every county. They are Georgia Power's the biggest taxpayer in Harris County and so forth. So that's why we do revaluation, so we can keep our audits good and we can do our normal business like we're accustomed to doing. So that's why we have to do it. So if you have any questions.
All right, I have one question. And
Yes, sir.
You probably have already answered it, but I'm going to ask this so that everyone will know the answer. Of the county, how much of the county did you reevaluate?
We had a change in value on about 20% of the properties this year. That's all. We had a larger percentage last year. We redid our cost figures and all that on our structures and homes and all last year. So basically, every home got a change on that last year. So that was probably 80% of our properties last year. But this year, it was right around 20% of the number that changed this year.
All right, does anyone else have a question?
I don't have a question, but I don't have a question, but I'll go to the other side of that. So that means that approximately 80% of the property taxpayers in Harris County will not see an increase on their property taxes.
Yes, ma'am, that is
this year.
correct, Commissioner Andrews.
I just want to make sure we
Yes,
looked
ma'am.
at the other side of that coin.
That's correct.
Anyone else have a question for Mr. Wayne? All right.
Thank you.
At this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up and speak on the public hearing for the millage rate? Going once, going twice, going 3 times, and I almost sang the song, but I didn't. That shows my age. All right, I will close the public hearing for the millage rate. All right, the next item of business is under citizens' comments. So, number 3, we have Mr. Larry Hall, citizen, has requested to appear before the board to make comments related to the Kings Gap Water Association. Mr. Hall has been provided a copy of the local rules of order and advised that he has 5 minutes in which to make his comments. Mr. Hall and Mr. County Manager, are you gonna be doing the timing?
I can, yes.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Hall?
Thank y'all for having me here. To get my point, I'm gonna run through a quick timeline. May 2002, Kings Gap Water Association started operating. Kings Gap Water number 1, Lake Drive, Kings Gap Water number 2, Kings Gap Village, number 3, Westgate Drive, Westgate Circle. We initially were charging a $12 minimum water plus a $16.67 loan repayment. In addition to that, we divided through members we had. We came up with $12 per member to cover our operating costs, which entailed accounting, supplies and stamps, and a paid person to do that, someone to read meters, EPD water testing, paid licensed person to perform testing duties, EPD actual testing and reporting, testing supplies, FedEx shipping charges. We were coming along. In 2014, Harris County took over complete operation of Kings Gap Water number 2, also known as Kings Gap Village. Although this is wonderful news, we had lost 23 members that were paying the $12 monthly operating fee that was contributing to cover our costs. At that time, we discussed raising that amount, but we decided we could conserve and try to hold that down. And also at that time, through money we had collected previously before we got actually a water system going, had a reserve built up that we were wanting to use for later for improvements. We were rocking along, not losing that much, but we were down from 64 members contributing to 41. In 2018, we had a water quality test failure that was reported to us by Mr. Keith Carroll, who's our water testing person. He stated that he was now having to test daily, and I confirmed this with Stephanie at EPD. She further stated to me that the daily testing was going to go on forever and would not go away. In addition, Mr. Carroll also told us that by his having to do testing every day, he's now going to charge us $500 a month labor, in addition to all the other additional costs to the EPD testing. Our cost of water quality testing is now averaging $667 a month. From year 2014 through year 2021, that's 8 years, just our water quality test alone, his costs were $46,974 and change. We then raised the fee for the cost of operating from $12 to $24. That's in addition to the water bill and everything else that a person receives. At year 2014, we had built up a reserve of $43,329, money we were hoping would pay for improvements or go along with a long-awaited grant from the county or whenever for the rest of us. As of year 2021, we're down $21,757.41, a loss of $21,571 from 2014 to 21. As you can see, our hopes of us being able to do anything as far as improvements are gone. We're going broke. We've been told a number of years we were on the list as far as grants go for the remaining 2 systems. When the county took over Kings Gap Village, we all had high hopes that, okay, y'all, it's coming around. It's going to happen. But after about that time, it seemed like just everything stopped. Folks, I'm asking in the most sincere way I know how to ask. We've done the best we can do with this. We need the county to take this thing over just like they did over at Kings Gap Village, one way or the other, hook, crook, whatever. operate the thing and then actively pursue a grant to get it done, because we're not gonna be able to do it. I just can't see a way we can do it. And if anybody has any questions, I'll sure try to answer them. If I don't have the answer, I'll find and get you one. And that's all. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Anyone have a question? Not?
So there are
Commissioner Andrews?
23 customers.
We lost 23 customers. There's 41 actual members, customers, meters, however you want to call that. That is Lake Drive and Westgate Circle.
All right.
So I've talked to Larry a couple of times, and he had stated that the RVRC was under the impression that Westgate was covered when they did Kings Gap.
I
So,
had spent on the phone all day long trying to, I was, ever since that happened in 2014, I started trying to do the grant thing, and folks, I don't know how to get these things done. I'm not good at that. That's not my forte at all. And I've been on the phone all day long to this River Valley people. And you know how you get passed around. And I finally found the lady who had administered the grant. And I was asking her about it. She said, well, I thought we had to understand that this was for the system. I said, no, ma'am, it was for one system, there's three. But she said, well, we had to understand it, but that's there. I mean, whether any of that's here or there, but that may have been the kink in the grant. I don't know if there was something lost in translation somewhere along the lines, but I mean, it was done for one of us, and then it stopped. I know it's not right down there. Things aren't up to county standards or whatever, but we can't help that. We're citizens of Harris County, just like the rest of you folks are. This isn't Talbot County or Meriwether County. It's the great county of Harris. We ought to be able to do something with this and make it right. It's been going on for over 20 years now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Larry.
Thank you all.
Jeff, do you have any comments, since you are our water person, that you would like to make at this time? Or could you and Randy get together and look into this and see if there's something we can do?
We've looked into it several times. There were cost estimates that would need to be updated now. They're 10, 15 years old. The section that was taken over was because it was a CDBG grant. The roads were done, water, everything to bring it up to standard. Where lines were up on near houses and whatever, it was all put out in what's now the county right of way, where the ones that are there now, all the roads are private. Although the county does help maintain some of the roads in there. But the reason the section was taken over was because it was a CDBG grant. These sections did not qualify for CDBG grant. Now, I don't know if the rules have changed. Next go around with CDBG grants, if they're still out there, I don't think Harris County's had one in a while. Maybe that's an avenue to look. Before, they did not qualify. Things may have changed now, they may qualify.
Is this something that you could look into and maybe get back with us about that? I mean, I don't want to put too much on you, but I mean.
Well, I don't know, as far as the CDBG grants, they come out of the commissioner's office. That's who applies for them. The county applies for them. They redo roads. They take a section, they redo roads, water, and in some cases, they redo houses. They have like over on the Maddox Road in one of them. So, that's something that the Waterworks does not, it don't go through the Waterworks office, it goes through the commissioner's office.
Is that something we could look into, Randy?
Can it not monetarily, but can it physically be accomplished? Connecting our existing water system to these two systems physically.
The systems are in place and working now. No, they don't meet the standards that we require developers, and there are other small systems in the county. We make them bring them up to standards, like the lines are not large enough for fire hydrants. In some cases, the meter boxes are up near the house in a couple of them. I think a line runs across a creek back there somewhere, you know, so it was, at the time it was put in, I think one man owned the whole thing, so he didn't lay the lines out along the roadway in anticipation of, you know, one day having to turn them over or something. But we can update the cost estimates. I mean, it won't cost that much. If y'all want us, you know, I'll get the engineers to come in and update the cost estimates and give you an idea to bring them up to county standards, you know, what it would cost, or if we help them maintain the lines or, you know, serviced off of what they got with no improvement. Of course, there's right away, you know, no easement and the issues, you know, where the lines are up in backyards and near the houses and stuff.
Right. Well, if you could
So-
just update that cost estimate
Yeah.
and maybe bring it back to us and then we
Yeah.
can kind of go from, that way we got an idea of where to go from there.
I'll get the cost estimates updated.
All right?
I think we're gonna need to know what easements, if we're gonna need easements, if we're gonna look into this, we need to look at, you know, everything as a whole. So we need to look at, you know, what areas would need easements, what we'd have to look at from that standpoint, and just see where we'd need, you know, some kind of a right of way, right? So that's kind of a dual point that we need to look at too.
It's sort of like a whole
It is.
complete revamp of a water system. You know, to my amazement, Harris County has 22 public and private water systems, roughly 50-50. So there's 22 water systems out there. You know, all the cities are water systems. Callaway has one or two, FDR State Park has one or two, but about 10 or 12 water systems that provide water to citizens are privately owned, and they must meet the EPD requirements just like the county with all of our resources. So I can see it being a very, very difficult situation for private water systems to operate in this time of day.
Well, if you could just check into that
Yeah.
and maybe update it and then come back and then that way we can, all
I'll get some current numbers and go from there.
right? I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I want to say one more thing, Mr. Culpepper, you can tell me if I'm correct or not, but they came in there when they first started developing it back in the day, and the homeowners tried to do wells, but it's so rocky there that it just,
I think I'm right, a lot of lots are too small
Too
to do
small.
wells because they're, of course, on septic tanks. There were, one section had a community sewer deal, but that's the one that was taken over by the
so
county.
there have been issues with that particular development as far
Ever
as
since,
water.
ever since we got water up in that area. Yes, ma'am. And I don't know when the development started. I think Mr. Ridley Hart back in the
I was right out of high
60s or
school.
70s. Yeah, it was a long time. It was way before my 40 years
It's been a
ago, so.
long time.
Yeah, I think a lot of the lots are too small for wells.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on down to, the next item. We have, Mr. Stuart Smith, citizen, has requested to appear before the board to make comments related to amending section 308.03 of the UDC chickens in R1 zoning. Mr. Smith has been provided a copy of the local rules of order and advised that he has 5 minutes in which to make his comments. Mr. County Manager, are you ready for, all right, Mr. Smith?
In the preamble of the Constitution, our forefathers gave us the reason why laws exist, and the reason why the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, ends with to secure the blessings of liberty for us and our posterity. At the end, they got the Bill of Rights that promised to protect rights that previous governments had taken away in the past, such as bearing arms and having a jury trial. They mentioned in previous documents that unalienable rights were not given to us by government, but endowed by our Creator, and the government uses the police powers granted to us, the police powers we grant to them, and only restrict those rights for very important reasons, like public safety. Up until recently, no government in the history of the world ever dreamed of restricting the rights to raise livestock in your own land. In fact, throughout the majority of human history, governments would encourage their citizens to raise livestock because of the myriad of benefits, including self-sufficiency, sustainability, food security, resilience, the continuation of cultural and traditional practices, education, personal development, personal fulfillment, well-being. In fact, the whole reason agricultural zoning was created was to protect and preserve our food supply. The ag zones restrict industrialization, to make sure we have land left for raising livestock, timber, and crops. Likewise, residential zones were also created to protect the residential areas from industrialization, not to prevent them from agricultural activity. Our country has a long and continuous history of encouraging agricultural activity in residential areas. There are national campaigns to encourage all citizens across the country to keep chickens and rabbits in their backyard during both world wars. Even today, over 93% of U.S. cities encourage backyard chickens or other livestock in residential neighborhoods. Recently, a 730 square foot Manhattan apartment with a built-in chicken coop sold for $1.2 million. In fact, I couldn't find a single major American city that lacks some kind of urban agricultural program which encourages the residents to raise at least small livestock like chickens or bees or pigs or goats. It's not hard to forget the last 3 years where food prices have gone through the roof and our supply chain has proven not as secure as we thought. Restricting residents from raising their own livestock restricts access to more reliable, readily available, and healthier food that can more easily withstand inflation and supply chain disruptions. Not everybody has the skill or the desire to raise livestock, but those who can would have the opportunity to help those who can't. Currently, in Harris County, the zoning laws under the Unified Development Code restrict anyone living in a residential area to 4 hens if they have over 2 acres, or 0 if they live in what they call a major subdivision, which I think is like 4 houses in a row. Doesn't matter how big it is. And my quote-unquote major subdivision, we have 16-acre lots, we have 18-acre lots, we have 5, 10. I mean, if I was living in Gwinnett County, where I came from 5 years ago, anything over 3 acres, you have unlimited hens. So people move to Harris County because they want to live in the country and they want to do country stuff. And no real estate agent will tell you that you can't raise chickens in your backyard because they don't know. Nobody really knows until they find out the hard way. And I think that any potential problems that could arise with raising livestock already fall under the jurisdiction of animal control, police, or health departments, and any other concerns can be handled by local HOAs. So I suggest that the Harris County Unified Development Code be changed so it leaves the restrictions of raising livestock or residential lots up to local HOAs. They're the best ones to handle it. And of course, if you don't have a local HOA, you can always form one. And if they refuse to form one, then you might have to resort to, I hate to say this, talking to your neighbors if you have a problem. I mean, a rooster crows at 48 decibels, a dog barks at 70 to 100 decibels, lawnmowers run about the same thing. If there's a noise problem, you can call the law or talk to your neighbor. If there's a smell problem, that's a health violation. You talk to the health code. There are other laws that deal with this, and I think it should be changed to essentially allow all the benefits of having backyard livestock, and that any problems can easily be handled by us citizens at the local level. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Smith, hold on a second. I got a question for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me put this down.
Because I saw them a while back and they were running pretty wild. And this weekend, I saw about 5 or 6 coming out of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Are they on your property?
No, I've Anne Franked them into an agricultural lot behind my house, and any that have escaped have done at the resistance of the coop and the fence.
Okay.
And sometimes it
I will
turns out.
I will let you know tonight
Mhm.
that they are not to be on the property behind your property, okay?
Why is that?
Because they said not to have it there.
Who's they?
The Joneses.
Okay.
They own it. They said, please remove them because the property's for sale.
Uh-huh.
And they do not want the chickens on the property.
Okay.
They actually contacted me about it.
So if I have them on my property, I'm currently not in compliance, which means I'm liable to a court case before the magistrate in which I could have a $1,000 fine per day or 60 days in jail per day.
That I don't know, but
No,
they.
that's what it says in the
Yeah,
UDC.
but they asked for you to remove the chickens from their
So
property.
let's say I move them back on my lot, and that means I'm not in compliance, which means I would go to jail for 60 days per day I have them on my lot, or a $1,000 fine, or both. That's the penalty currently on UDC.
I'm not saying that, I'm just
That was the
letting you
reason
know.
why I wanted to change. I'm sorry to be.
Yeah, no, they asked, and that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah,
They
you're
asked
right.
you
I
to
do not
remove
want to violate their
Right.
sovereignty by having it on their land illegally if they ask
Now,
to
you can
remove it.
buy that piece of property because it will be for sale soon.
Okay, but no, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to get in contact with them.
Yeah.
I've looked up all the sorts of stuff, but yeah, you're right. I will not violate their sovereignty of their land.
Yeah.
I'll just I won't be in compliance with the current code, moving back on my land. and I'll be subject to the punishments thereof.
Okay. Well,
Any other questions?
but I just wanted to let you know that they
Thank you,
did
sir.
ask you, if you would, please remove them.
How many chickens do you have?
Right now, they're all pretty young, and so in order to get them to an age where they're laying, you have to wait 6 to 8 months. There's around 100.
You have 100? And how many are in a coop?
Well, they're all in coops.
They're all in coops.
Yeah, so the coops are mobile. You can move them around.
So you've moved them onto his property, okay,
Yeah,
I was
yeah. Well-
confused about all that. But let me ask you this, so how many acres do you have?
3.5.
3.5 acres.
So actually, technically, they're not on his property. They're in the woods behind my house. And I don't know wherever the property line is. They're just so, anyway, yeah.
Anyway, that's beside the
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
But, I agree that if you have 2 acres, you should be able to have hens, I don't care what your zoning is. And we've argued that point up here as we worked on the UDC, and, the 2 of us who agreed to that were voted down, so that's another thing. But we're about to revisit our comprehensive plan and our UDC and our, CIE, and so at that time, that would be a great time for us to revisit this. And we might have a different outcome. I don't know. I can't speak for my fellow commissioners, but we might.
What's the process moving forward to change UDC? Do we have to wait until the specified time period that you're talking about, or can it happen
You
sooner?
don't have to. It can be edited and public hearings held and those kinds of things. We're about to have public hearings, is what I'm saying. It's happening when? September?
For the comp plan.
For the comp plan? August 28th. That starts the process. And yes, it is a long process to do that, but,
And we did come to a compromise for 4 hens and a coop, where before there were none. So in the last long process, we got to the compromise we're at now, where before there was none. So, and that was the last long process, which just went into effect in April? April. So that compromise, through that long process, just went into effect in April, so that you could have 4.
and
Thank
I think 100 on 3 acres may be a bit much, and I have chickens myself. But, I think there's a place for
Gwinnett County
chickens.
has 1 million people. It has 1 person for every 1/4 acre. We have 1 person for every 8 acre.
Yeah.
And there, if you have over 3 acres, there's no limit.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that we'll, mirror Gwinnett County, but I think that there is a
When you're
compromise
saying what's
somewhere.
reasonable,
Yeah.
we take a public consensus of what's reasonable. That's all I was bringing up. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. We do have 2 people that have signed up to speak, on topic number 4, which is this one. The first person would be, Mr. Mike Arsenault. You also have, 5 minutes, sir, Mr. County Manager.
I'll be done in like 1.
Okay.
You know, I think most people do not mind citizens having chickens, but a reasonable amount of chickens.
And let me stop you, because I didn't tell you. Please tell where you live and your address. I'm sorry. That's my fault. I know where you live, so it's my bad.
Mike Arsenault, 684 Big Sky. Okay, like I was saying, I don't think most people would have a problem with people having chickens in the backyard in a coop, maybe not a portable coop that's roaming around the front yard. That's about all I gotta say. I mean, something reasonable, you know, for personal use.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
No, sorry. I mean,
Just wondering how many times he's passed by my house the first time I met him.
it doesn't matter, because you can't ask him a question, it's not part of the process.
Apologize, sir.
All right, you can surely talk to him afterwards.
Yes, sir.
The next person we have signed up to speak is, on the same topic, is, Mr. Andrew Zerner. And, please state I've stated your name, but please state your address and where you live.
Well, it is Andrew Zerner. It's 1278 Moon Road, Shiloh. I have just a few comments on the whole chicken issue. I would ask that you not amend this ordinance, or this portion of the UDC. Right now, if someone lives in R1, they have the ability to live in that area and not have chickens if they don't want to live around chickens. And somebody who wants to have chickens has the ability to buy A1 property in Harris County and own as many chickens as they want to on that property. In my family, we were taught young, you have your 5 Ps, and it's prior planning prevents poor performance. And many adults, the largest investment in their life is their house. And if someone is buying the largest investment of their life and purchasing a house in Harris County, I believe you should do your prior planning, and you should look in and understand what your zoning is and what is and was not allowed there. Others shouldn't have to pay for one's ignorance of the law. So if someone is asking you to change this law when they have the ability to not change that law, just to move where it's allowed. You know, the thing is, you know, chickens are popular now, but if you change this today, you know what's popular tomorrow. What are you going to change next year? I mean, we're going to allow goats and pigs and cows in residential property. I mean, I feel like you're opening Pandora's box. And you hear people compare Harris County to Gwinnett or Atlanta, Columbus, and Macon, and, you know, chickens are allowed there. Well, if you look in those areas, they don't have the amount of A1 property that we have. So where you have no other options, I can see making some adjustments, but there are plenty of options in Harris County where people can have their chickens. You know, I don't know how many of y'all that this would affect, maybe just Commissioner Grant that this would affect. I think your HOA would prevent it. So if you allow this, it's not going to affect anybody up here other than possibly Coach Grant. I don't know what your HOA says.
We ain't got one.
You don't have one, so it would definitely affect you then. You know, I just believe that zoning is created to really essentially to help protect people. If you start changing this zoning, like I said, I think it opens Pandora's box, but, you know, thankfully zoning where you have A1, I mean, that keeps commercial and industry out of your neighborhood. And I just ask that you would think how this would affect you or wouldn't affect you and how many people it would affect, and just to consider my thoughts. So,
All right.
thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, and I do not have chickens on my property where I live, but I do have it on my agricultural property that I own. That's a different story. I didn't want nobody to start thinking I was putting chickens somewhere I wasn't supposed to. All right, moving on down to old business, item number 5. We have the second reading of the alcohol application of Vance C. Smith, Harris County Chamber of Commerce, for a temporary special event to be held on October 28, 2023 at the Lake Franklin Event Center, 2970 Georgia, 190 Pine Mountain, Georgia, 31822. License has been applied for a temporary special event. Recommendation by the Sheriff's Office is approval. The Health Department and Community Development was not applicable. Motion and a vote are needed to approve or disapprove this application. And as I stated, this is the second reading that we have to have. Mr. Vance, is there anything you would like to say? Or are you good? All right, we need a motion and to approve, and I'll make the motion to approve this alcohol application for Vance Smith and Harris County Chamber for this temporary special event to be held on October 28, 2023.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. And you can run home and get dinner now. All right, going on down to new business. Item number 6, all state required documents have been prepared, published in the newspaper, and posted to the county's website for public review. Based on the 9.13 millage rate, 3 public hearings were required. The first public hearing was held on August 8, 2023 at 11 a.m. The second public hearing was held on August 8, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. The third public hearing was held earlier during this meeting. The board can now adopt the 2023 property tax millage rate. If approved, the property tax bill will be distributed during early October and due in December. A motion and vote are needed to adopt the Board of Commissioners 2023 property tax millage rate at 9.13 mills, the millage rate for the portion of West Point that is located within the county at 5.478 mills, and the Board of Education 2023 millage rate at 17.50 mills. The proposed resolution and millage rate details are attached. And as stated all three times, the county and the school board have not raised the millage rate from what it was last year. So they are staying the same, the rate itself. Do we have a motion to adopt?
I'll make the motion to adopt the millage rate as you read in the article we have before us.
Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, motion carries. All right, going down to item number 7. Financial statement for May 2023 was provided for your review on July 13th, 2023. Clint Chastain, our CFO, will be in attendance to discuss the report and respond to any questions. We need a motion and a vote to approve or disapprove. Does anyone have any questions for Clint? I see him sitting out there. No? No questions? All right, now we need a motion to approve the financial report of May 2023.
I make the motion that we approve the financial statements for May 2023.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, motion carries. All right, moving on down to item number 8. There is a request for a tax refund as follows. Requester is Juanita Downs Gilman, 62 Stevens Court, Fortson. The amount is $51.93. The reason is they renewed the vehicle on June 22nd, 2023. Renewal was due on August 4th, 2023. The requester sold the vehicle on July 31st, 2023, which was before the renewal due date. The tax commissioner agrees for the refund, and the Board of Tax Assessors also agrees to the refund. A motion and vote is needed to approve or disapprove the refund. Do we have a motion?
I'm gonna make the motion to approve the refund.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Moving on down to item number 9. There is a request for a tax refund as follows. Requester Hayward Whitaker, 403 Holland Drive, Fortson. Total amount $698.03. 2020, $235.54. 2021, $235.55. 2022, $226.94. The reason is the requester was being taxed for 4 acres, but has only 2 acres. So the requester has provided a new plat to the tax assessor's office showing the 2 acres. Tax commissioner agrees, and the Board of Tax Assessors agreed. A motion and a vote are needed to approve or disapprove the refund, and I will make the motion that we approve this tax refund based off the information just read. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. All right, going down to item number 10. Each year, Trailer Business Services provides the county with a contract for the Business Personal Property Verification Program. Funding is included in the fiscal year 2023-2024 tax assessor's budget in the amount of $7,500. This agreement will be effective on August 22nd, 2023, and shall run for a 12-month period from this date. A motion and a vote are needed to approve the proposed agreement. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the agreement with Trailer Business Services
All
in
right.
the amount of $7,500.
All right, thank you, and I'll second that. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right, motion is approved. And I believe that takes us down to the county manager. Mr. County Manager?
Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, the next item is a limited time employee benefit offer to provide group health insurance to eligible employees for early retirement. In your agenda package, you have an item, the board has discussed providing group health insurance to eligible employees for early retirement for several months. In particular, the August 9th, 2022 planning session, the November 3rd, 2022 planning session, and the July 27th, 2023 planning session. During those sessions, proposals were presented and discussed. During the July 27th, 2023 planning session, the board had a consensus to move forward with the most recent proposal, and that proposal is attached. A motion vote are needed to approve this proposal and authorize the county manager and the county clerk to execute all related documents. If approved, Human Resources will communicate this option to all eligible employees to determine their level of interest. Long story short, if a county employee is between the age of 60 and 65 during November 1st of this year until October 31st of next year, and enrolled in the county's health care plan prior to retirement and eligible for early retirement and takes the early retirement option, the county will pay 50% of the retired employee's employee-only health care costs of the county's health care plan that it's in effect for all other employees until the retired employee reaches Medicare eligibility age or upon death, whichever occurs first. Based on the current rates, we have a Cigna health care plan right now. The 50% equals $5,205.48. So the employee will pay half, the county will pay half to those eligible employees.
That's if everybody takes advantage of it.
No, that's $5,205 per person, per employee. That's half of the employee cost. We have about 15 to 16 employees that are eligible. Some will take it, some will not. And as the health care plan changes and its costs, so will this cost also increase. Also, dependent health coverage. If the retired employee has dependent health care coverage prior to retirement, they can also obtain dependent health care coverage at 100% of the cost of that dependent coverage. So it would be the employee's cost, the $5,205.48, plus the dependent coverage, if so taken. And so again, if approved, we're going to have communications with the eligible employees to see what their level of interest is, and they have the ability to take this one-time limited benefit offer between November 1st of this year and October 31st of next year.
Right. Does anyone have any questions of our county manager? Do we have a motion to approve this one-time limited benefit for eligible employees?
I'll make the motion that we approve the limited time benefit offer for the county to provide group health insurance to eligible employees for early retirement starting, what was that? What did we say? That was November 1st, 2023 and October 31st through October 31st, 2024.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? All right, motion carries. Mr. County Manager?
The next item is the project updates. Hitting the high points, number one, the employee compensation and classification plan. That project will begin January of this year and be completed by June of next year. So January of 24 to June of 2024. Number six, the SPLOST continuation referendum. I'm preparing a strategic plan right now, and that should be distributed to the board later this month or early next month. Number 13, the Comprehensive Master Plan update. That project is going on. The RVRC had a meeting with the board on July 27th to review a schedule. So, and the first public hearing to kick off that long process will be August the 28th. Number 15, the new EMS Volunteer Fire Department facility in the Northwest Harris Business Park. That is progressing. It should be completed later this year. Number 20, the annual resurfacing program. The board last meeting approved 4.1 miles of Ripshin Road to be resurfaced, and that has been uploaded to the GDOT website and approved, and we should get the check for right at almost $1 million really soon. And that project will be bid out early January and be completed next June of 2024. Number 28, Prepare conceptual design of an agricultural complex. Work has started on that project.
Who's doing the study? Or is it
It's a company called Studio 8.
Studio 8?
And they've been along with the process from the very beginning. Number 30, an observation tower at the Ellerslie Park. The board approved that bid July the 18th, and completion should be early 2024. So the observation tower at Ellerslie Park, funded in part by the county and in part by others, is getting started, and that should be finished early 2024. Develop the Pine Mountain Valley Park. The Board of Education has expressed their interest that they do not want this property. The property is currently being surveyed, and a phase 1 environmental assessment is being done on the 11 acres. So hopefully, maybe the board can approve the transfer, maybe even at the next meeting in September. Or at least that's our target. 33.
Yeah, when?
Number 33?
Yeah, so is that? So basically what this was is reconfigured Field 7 at Moultrie Park for football. I know that season's gonna be starting up here soon. Do we know when we're gonna actually start that
No,
augmentation?
I'll have to defer that to the Parks and Rec director, but I can give the board an answer.
If you don't
An
mind.
email tomorrow. No problem.
I do know at the last Recreation Board meeting, they had talked about that they had got into designing how to move the fence and all that, so I know that they're working on it. I don't know how far along they are, but I do know they're
Have
working.
they ordered lights or anything else for?
They had the lights, because the lights they had, they're just gonna move from this pole, to move the pole, because the lights are already there.
Reconfiguration.
Yeah, that's all they're gonna do. But, at our next rec board meeting too, and I can also make sure, find out where we are, because I know we gotta have it.
Season starts soon.
Yep.
Number 43, complete the construction of a new fire training facility. That project is also ongoing. It should be finished later this year. Number 45, prepare an RFP to obtain a vendor that will provide a P25 standard 911 radio system. 3 proposals were received, and the committee evaluated those proposals and have heard presentations from the top 3 proposals. And it is still being evaluated by the selection committee. The board should have that contract, hopefully, the first meeting in September.
Are the selection committee, is it internal members or?
It's all the end users of the 911 system. The 911 department, the fire department, EMS, law enforcement from all the 5 cities, as well as from the sheriff's office. So all the end users are represented in the committee to evaluate the responses and make a selection. And then they're all gonna be here at probably either the first meeting in September or the second one, with a recommendation on which company to select to help us obtain a new 911 radio system. That's countywide.
And just to say too, I actually sat in on that RFP proposal. Well, actually, it was a presentation, and there was only 2 of the 3 that actually came up to do the presentations.
So that process has begun.
Do we reach out to the state patrol? Because I know they have to come in our county, and right now, we can't, our law enforcement can't talk back and forth with them.
Right. That was one of the pitfalls of the Tetra system, but a P25 system will correct that.
Plus also, I asked them to reach out to GMA.
Number 54, a water and wastewater rate survey, a rate study that's being also done. That should be finished in the next, hopefully 60 to 90 days. And then 57, phase 2 of the courthouse renovations project. That is started and is ongoing.
How is that as far as budget-wise with CPI and everything else?
We have allocated about $1.4 million to that project.
We're pretty on track.
And, yeah, there's been meetings held with the users of the courthouse, and so a design phase is happening right now, design. And then whatever we can get done for $1.4 million, we'll do it in that design. There might be money needed for next fiscal year. I think the courthouse is going to take multiple fiscal years from this point on to get it to where it needs to be. So the 1.4, I don't think is the end. Because the courthouse was so the maintenance was deferred so long, it's gonna take a lot of money to get that. So far, we have, completed the external parts, the painting, the windows, the new roof, HVAC systems, all have been completed, or almost completed. So at least we got the exterior portion stabilized, and now we're focusing on the internal portion.
And we're still gonna run into some of the part with the courthouse, it's the historical part, so we still have to go through that, just like we did on the external. We couldn't paint it a different color, we had to pretty much match it just like it was when we built it.
Right,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of ADA issues, a lot of plumbing, electrical issues, space issues, there's also a lot of issues. But all the end users are being talked to by the architect, and a game plan is emerging.
Well, I can tell you, it looks a whole lot better riding by in front of this courthouse and not seeing the balcony and those things wanting to fall on people, now that we've finally got it fixed. So I'm glad we're working to make the courthouse the crown jewel of the county, which it should be.
And you can see the.
I do have a question, though, just to go back to number 34. We have already installed the kiosk and everything for the Man of War Trail for the new section.
That's right.
Everything's up?
Yep.
All right.
All up. So the Man of War Phase 6 will be completed Friday. All the signs will be removed Friday, and all the warning
Checklist.
signs
Right.
and road closed signs will be removed Friday afternoon. We should probably open that up Monday. A ribbon cutting will be held probably in September. We're having some date issues. Everybody can't agree on whatever is available for dates. But that should be open Monday, Phase 6. And a lot of the kiosks have been installed, most of them have, along all the trailheads. And new maps have been installed all the way from the Meriwether Harris County line all the way to Mulberry Creek. All the trailheads, all the elevations, restroom availability, parking availability, trailheads, and the rules of the trail are all on the new sign. So that new sign should be in place probably the next 4 years until the trail can be continued from Mulberry Creek all the way to the Muskogee County line, using T-Splosh funds.
Do we have plans on the trail? I know they're using full-size trucks to be able to get down through there and actually do all the maintenance. Do we have plans on using something smaller?
Yes, we have, in this year's budget, we have allocated funds for a small ATV to go up and down the trail with a attached blower to blow the leaves off in the fall. So we have that, either it's here or it's coming. So right now, we're using pickup trucks and handheld blowers, which is not efficient at all. But now we got ATVs, we got a dedicated person for the trail maintenance. So everything is coming together to maintain that trail. The 13.5 miles of trail, adequately.
Were we able to get the extra map so that we could put one in the Chamber of Commerce?
They've been
And-
ordered.
Okay, because I know that the Chamber wanted to have one up since they're right there. Whistling Pig said they'd put one up right beside the Pine Mountain Trail, and I know we have up in Pine Mountain, so that at the bicycle shop where everybody rents the bikes to ride the trail. So I just want to
They've
make,
all been ordered. Also, new maps and kiosks have been installed at Ellerslie Park, at the North Trailhead and the South Trailhead, as well as in the middle. So new kiosk has been installed at Ellerslie Park, along with the new trail maps showing all the new trails on the south side of the park. So that is also a finished product. So
all right.
we don't want anybody to get lost. And you can see the SPLOS and T-SPLOS collections that have occurred. And
They still seem to be trending down.
they do. Single-family homes, 15 were issued in July. So that's not getting much better. And solid waste tonnage is kind of trending down also a little bit. Of course, active water work customers are increasing. People like to have county water. And the Georgia Fund One, where we invest all of our excess funds, have increased. Right now, we're earning 5.21%, which is pretty good investment interest rate for all of our excess funds.
All right. Does anyone have any more questions for Randy about the project updates? All right, going down, the next thing is the county attorney. And as we know, our county attorney could not be here tonight. He could be reached by phone, but he is having to go to a school function for his daughter, and nobody blames him for that. That being said, I do know we have one thing that we need to do. If you don't know anything about the county attorney, I think we're good there.
I'm gonna keep in my lane.
All right, and so I do know we need to go to executive session. Well, no, we're gonna try to do that at another meeting. Yes, but we're going to try to bring our Little League team up here and celebrate the boys for how well they did. But we gotta get with them and get with the rec department, and that will be at another meeting. But yes, we're gonna try to do that. That being said, I'll make a motion for us to go into executive session to discuss personnel. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. All in favor? All right. Y'all are all more than welcome to sit here and wait if you'd like. If not, I appreciate each and every one of you coming tonight. All right, do I have a motion to come back from executive session? Motion. All right, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right. All right. Is there anything else that we need to discuss? If not, I would like to make the motion that, the employment agreement between Harris County, Georgia and Mr. Randy, Dowland be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion about that? Don't think so? All in favor? Thank y'all for coming. I know the storm was trying to be bad.
Don't roll back on me.
I'm